with the Knicks for 4 more years, $117 million. Randall will have a player option in the last year of the deal. That extends his deal through the 25-26 season. I cannot believe those words are coming out of my mouth. The 25-26 season. That's where we are. Randall locked in New York, adding Kemba Walker, as we talked about yesterday, Evan Fournier this week. So, Zach, where do you think the Knicks are in reestablishing themselves as an attractive destination for elite talent?
They're getting there. And that's why all of these signings matter. Everyone got up in arms over the dollars and the years turned out to be shorter than was initially reported. The most important thing is staying good, staying competent, staying as an organized team that has a future. And the Knicks, if they do that, are going to attract people. This is a good deal for Julius Randle. The cap will go up. His number will not even look that big as the cap goes up and up. Does he have to prove that the jump shooting last season wasn't a fluke? Yeah, but he's a good NBA player. He's a good all-around player. He played better defense than he ever had before. Kemba and Fournier will give them some off-the-dribble juice they didn't have last year, when really their offense was either Derrick Rose has a big game or Julius Randle bail us out, bail us out, bail us out, and he couldn't do it against a really good Hawks team. I love what the Knicks have done this summer. They didn't get a star. It's hard to get stars. Might take a couple more years. Stars don't become available all the time, but they're circling, and the stars are noticing.
I want to say, I think Kemba Walker is a star. He was a star before he got to Boston, and then he had to take a back seat with injuries and Tatum and Brown. So this guy needs this refresher role. He needs a new role, because if you look at this Knicks team, that's what they were missing. They was missing a dynamic guard. Even though Derrick Rose was doing his thing, it's hard for you to have that many injuries at his age and do it for 82 games. So now with Kemba there, they're going to be an exciting team to watch, because Thibodeau is going to do one thing, have them ready to play defense, and that's what you want out of New York Knicks team.
That's the thing. Their defensive talent has slipped a little bit, but they'll get all the fundamentals right, all the rotations right. And Kemba, the ability to hit pull-up threes is something they didn't really have last year. He can do that. That's going to give Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel some lobs. The East is tough. It's going to be tough for the Knicks to really get up to that 4 seed again, but they're going to be good.
Well, look, if you play good team defense, a guy like Kemba becomes less of a liability, right? And you can sort of make up around him. Robert, I was saying yesterday, I feel like Kemba Walker is additive for them, not just because of what he does on the basketball court, not just because he's such a great locker room presence. Just everyone loves Kemba Walker around the league. But the excitement that's going to be back in the Garden, we saw a little bit of it in the second half of last season and sort of going toward the playoffs. But the idea of Kemba Walker, native son, at MSG with all those great college performances he had, that's going to remind players around the league, too, of when you were playing and what the Garden was like.
Oh, yes, when they had Starberry in the Garden. This is one of those things. Kemba Walker is one of those players that the New York Knicks fans would gravitate to, because he's that New York playground type of guy. He's won championships in college. He's done all these things that he can do. Now he's bringing that home to display it at a time he really needs it in his career, because Boston was a bust for him. Injuries and not being able to do his thing. But think about it. He put up great numbers in Charlotte. This guy was an all-star. He can get back to the Knicks and doing that. Him and Julius Randle pick and roll action. It's going to be nice.
I'm excited for the buzz.
Your rookie year, you played there in the finals. You played in MSG in the finals as a rookie, right? 94?
No, my second year.
Second year?
Right.
It must have been crazy, right?
Oh, Spike Lee, Knicks. You think about it, you got the man Patrick Ewing going against Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the best battles you're ever going to see. And it was just a gritty, grimy, hot, Pat Riley at the helm for the Knicks, Rudy T. It was great, man. Should have been there.
I was a teenager watching on TV.
There you go. We'll see if we see a little bit more of that in the months to come. I do want to get over to this coast. Kawhi Leonard, the last superstar free agent available. All has remained eerily quiet with him thus far. Remember, 2019 was crazy. Planes were followed. Fans were gathered. There was like the middle of the night, the sort of clumps of people. There was 4 days of just sort of, where is Kawhi going? The rest of the league waiting to make decisions off of what Kawhi would do. Well, he finally joined the Clippers. Well, we're on day 4 of free agency, of this free agency. There are no planes. There are no flight patterns people are studying. There is nothing. So, Robert, should the Clippers have any level of concern that Kawhi hasn't signed yet? Or should they feel like, great, he's clearly just not, he's not on a tour, obviously, the way he was in 2019.
Yeah, he's not on a tour. But for me, as a Clipper fan, I would be mad at Kawhi, because there are a lot of free agents could be sitting back, we're going to see what Kawhi is going to do, because we might join your franchise. And with him sitting back waiting and trying to see what other guys are getting, see what he wants to do, is not fair to the organization, because the organization went out of its way to give you everything you wanted these past couple of seasons, but now you're putting them in a bad situation. You talk about winning championships and being better. you're going to need some pieces because you lost some pieces. But if you don't sign early so people can say, okay, Kawhi, stand put, I can come join them, that's not fair to the organization. You need to come up and step up to the plate just like they stepped up to the plate for you.
There's no planes. There's no mobs gathered. There's no Instagram sleuthing. There's also no cap space. There's nowhere for Kawhi to just sign right now. Now, could you do a sign and trade? Sure. What's happening probably, certainly, is that he's just either disengaged, which he's Kawhi, or he's mulling. Do I do a short-term deal? Do I do a 2+1, a 1+1? Do I do the long-term deal? And whatever he does, he'll do. I don't think there's much afoot here, really.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we all expect him to re-sign with this team. But, Zach, with the way the mechanics are going forward for the Clippers and the cap and everything else, are the Clippers going to be trying to sort of make a deal? Like, is this possibly more of a negotiation than we realize? Because there's a point with some guys where it's just like, yep, you give them everything that they want. Luka, of course, has not signed his extension with the Mavericks. We all know what it's going to be. Everything. They're going to put everything in front of him, give him all the money they can give him the player option, do the whole thing. Do you think that they are just putting that deal in front of Kawhi and he's just deciding whether he wants something shorter or not? Or do you think that the organization is saying, well, there really isn't anywhere for him to go. Maybe we could get him on a more slightly team-friendly deal?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. I think they're saying when you get to Kawhi's the stage of his career, the timing of the deals becomes more important, right?
Sure.
When you're at Luka's stage, it's just here's all the money, here's everything you can get. I think the Clippers probably said, look, here's the short one, here's the long one, here's the one with the player option, here's all the paper. You and your agent pick one of the papers, sign it, and get back to us.
Right. Well, he's Kawhi Leonard, and he certainly showed again during these playoffs before he got hurt. That Game 6 he had against Dallas, I was in the building for that. Oh, my. That was an all-time NBA playoff performance, and just reminded everybody, this is what this man can do. Of course, I don't have to tell Masai Ujiri what Kawhi Leonard can do. He saw that story. We're going to start with the Olympics as Team USA rallied from an early 15-point deficit to the Australians behind 23 from U.S. all-time leading scorer Kevin Durant, 20 from Devin Booker. The U.S. found their groove late in the second quarter, going on a 22-0 run, outscored the Australians by 22 in the third quarter alone. So, Robert, what was the most impressive aspect for you of the U.S. rally against Australia?
I think it had to be that third quarter because they come out, you get punched in the mouth to start the game off. Then the third quarter, you're like, oh, man, Australia's for real. They got NBA players over there. They got stars over there. We need to come out. And I think they came out in that third quarter like most true good NBA teams do, and they punched them in the mouth and say, yo, we are the USA. We are the team that's going to win gold, so this is what we're going to do. Kevin Durant, take over. Drew Holiday play some good defense, and that's what the U.S. did. I think it took them a while to learn who's the top dog on this team because when you get this much talent together, it's hard to say, I'm going to take a back seat. And I think now they're realizing, oh, that guy with number 7 on his back, he's pretty damn good.
He's Kevin Durant.
Imagine how awesome you have to be at anything to say, do you know who I am? Like, there's like 20 people in the world who can say, do you know who I am? And it's not ridiculous. And he's one of them. Just where would we be without him? He's the best player in the tournament. Yeah,
absolutely. And I am impressed, though, when you mentioned Drew Holiday, right? Devin Booker. You've got guys who played so well despite no break from the finals. I mean, Drew Holiday, where is this energy coming from? But the tenacity on defense was exceptional, and Book was Book.
Yeah, these guys flew right from the finals to Tokyo. I don't know how many hours it is changed. It's a lot of hours and just suit up, play after a grueling NBA finals. It's super impressive. That's a real commitment.
Right?
I mean, that's not bogus. That's a real commitment. They're playing really well. Drew Holiday's been amazing on both ends of the floor, and Devin Booker is just ready for all of it. He's proven in the last 3 or 4 months, whatever you throw at him, he is ready for it.
He's a bona fide superstar. We know we always wanted to compare him to the legend Kobe Bryant, but Booker he's writing his book. He's doing his own path. And the way he can shoot the ball and the way he can control the offense. And the thing that he's learning also in this tournament is how to play defense also, because we know what he can do offense. I think with him, he said, you know what, we had some moments in the playoffs where they try to exploit me defense. This is a time to work on that. Yeah. And he's doing everything. He's working on his game and he's getting better. So this guy right here is going to probably be an MVP next season.
I mean, certainly an all-star coaching staff, too, you can take advantage of if you're on Team USA right now. Pop, Steve Kerr, there's a bunch of guys over there that are on that staff that can really help a guy say, oh, learn this, and then, of course, use them against them in the Western Conference. I do want to ask, seeing how as you have 7 rings, I'm just going to keep saying that. When you finished an NBA Finals, how tired were you? And the fact that these 3 guys, right, Devin, Drew, Chris Middleton, took a 12-hour flight now are on the time change is no joke. Your nighttime is your day, your daytime is your night. That they're doing this for 2 or 3 weeks.
It's hard because you got to think about it. Last season was an unprecedented season because they played every other day.
Right.
Then you go into the playoffs, and now you got the summer league games with the USA. And then you think about it. Once they come back, they got 2 or 3 weeks off before they start their regular season. So for me, I knew when the season ended, my body needed rest. I would take a month and a half off. I mean, not even touch a ball, not do anything. But these guys jump right into another league, another sport, another championship series. So it's hard, man, and it's going to be tiring and grueling. So I just hope that they find the proper way during next season to get the amount of rest, because they're going to need it, because if they want to fight for another championship, they're going to need those guys that are playing for USA.
I'm tired after the NBA Finals. And the only exercise I do is getting on the elliptical like an old man in the hotel. I get jet lagged. I get jet lagged flying out to LA. That's a real thing.
So yes, so it is a thing, and I am curious about repercussions on their regular teams as we go.
I had a conversation with Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili one year. I said, "Yo, the most important thing is us right now winning the championship," and they didn't play for their team the next year, and we won the championship in 2007 because those guys were fresh.
That is really, really interesting. We will see. The other semi last night came down to the wire, but Nicolas Batum's game-sealing block gave France the 1-point win over Slovenia, despite Luka having the 3rd triple-double in Olympic history. Slovenia will play Australia for the bronze. Now the U.S. will get a chance to redeem their loss to France in the group stage with the gold on the line Saturday morning. So that's pretty awesome. Woj reporting Julius Randle.